What we're going to do on this video is I'm going to make a hubcap for this wheel. This is an Aeronca airplane that somebody's building in the scale model. I think the scale is 1/3, so it has around a 10-foot wingspan. It's quite a large airplane, and as you can see, this is exactly the size of that wheel, and he wants an aluminum hubcap that looks like that. And what I think is it's got to have a little dome to it because of the collar on the wheel that holds the wheel on sticks out beyond the rim. So we've got to make that thick enough to close in that collar. So I've cut these blanks, and I hope I can do it with a 1/4 inch. I might have to do it over again, but we got to make a holder to hold these and hold them at an angle so I can do the feature in here. So we'll be making that fixture, the holding fixture for the lathe, and we'll run you through the whole thing. The first thing I got to do is find something to make that out of. Now I have some of those fixtures in here in this drawer, and hopefully I can modify one to fit this. Yeah, that would work pretty good, I think. I'd have plenty of meat, and I can take off the edge. Yeah, that one will be good. So I'm going to try to make the fixture out of this. I think that'll work out pretty well. And I've noticed that I've got a little prick punch mark on here, and what that is for number 1 job in this chuck. So I know how I had it in there before, because if your chuck is out 1/1000th of an inch or 2/1000ths, and you make a jig like this, and if you don't put it in the same way every time, it's going to double the mistake in the chuck. So I know that's number 1 right here. So I have to, yeah, it fits good. They have a little shoulder that fits up against the jaw of the chuck, so I know it's in there right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We don't want to tighten it, we want to leave it as loose as possible. And bore that out to fit this. So I'm using a very short boring bar with a nice square corner on it to bore it out, so I'll be able to insert this and still have a fairly square corner on the back here. Probably want to go at least an 1/8 inch deep on that. So I'm going to go here. Set this to 0. Do an 1/8 inch in, set my stop. We got a long way to go there. This is almost 2 inches in diameter. Getting closer. Very close to it now, so I'm going to the cross slide, and I've got the cross slide set at 45 degrees, so if I turn this 1/1000th, it'll take off 1/1000th there. I'm within 3/1000ths, I think, of putting it, so I'm going to go out 2 and see if that'll fit in there. Still not quite. I'll go 1/1000th at a time until it goes in there. Well, that's almost in there, just not quite. That'll probably tap in there if I tap it. So I got it so I can face it off. Okay, this is going to be the back. So I'm going to put the recess in it now, and I won't go all the way in because I'm not sure how far I have to go, but I'm going to keep this jig so I can work on both sides of it even after the features are put onto it. So first I'm going to drill it about 1/8 of an inch thick, 1/8 of an inch deep, and I'll have to try it on the wheel before I really know exactly how deep it has to go. But I think we can figure that out before I put all the features on it. Now I'm going to go to an end mill. I'm going to try this with a 7/16 end mill. Now this end mill, I have blunted the edge to use it for brass, and basically all I did was make that straight across here. Instead of having a lead on the bit, I've taken it off with a Dremel tool and made a little flat there. Can you see it, Jim?
Yep.
And what that does is it keeps it from drawing itself in and cutting too aggressively. That goes in there good. I can feel the rubber of the tire, so that I think it's in far enough. I've taken it out and I'm going to tap that slug out of there, out of the fixture, and reverse it. Pretty tight fit. Needed something a little solider than that rubber thing there. See what's in there. And this is number 1. I'll put it back in exactly the same place, so it should run pretty true. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a chamfer on this thing and leave a little flat spot in the middle, I think. So first I have to get the flat spot. So this one here, I've measured them and it's 45 thousandths thicker than this one, so I'm going to take that off so they'll both be the same thickness. So in order to do that, set the front edge here, go 45, set my stop, and cut it down to there. Now we're going to set this compound to take off. I'm going to try 1 degree and then 2 degrees and see what looks good. Because I don't really know what to set it at, because they didn't give us any indication on the plan at all. So I've got this set at 2 degrees, and I'm going to try that for a little short piece on and see how it looks. As luck would have it, of course, this scale is only 60 degrees in each direction, So there is no 0 point here, so for some point I got to take this off and put a 0 mark there. Get it on the surface plate so I know where it is. It's awful hard to see it here, but we're close enough, I think. Let's give it a whirl. I don't think that's quite enough. I'm going to go to 3 degrees and see how that works. I'm up to 5 degrees now. We're going to take one more cut and see how that looks. That's about the limit I think I can do. That hubcap has to be pretty thick because of this recess that has to be in it. This recess has to go in deeper, and because it's still rocking on that. You can see it rocks. I can take a little off the axle, but not much. I think I've got, it feels like about 60 or 70 thousandths. It's got to go in there deeper, so let's do that first. So when I measure this depth here, I'm a little over 1/8 of an inch, and this thing is 290 thick, so I can go in there quite a bit more, and I think I can do another 50 thousandths, and then that should do it. So I drilled it another 50 thousandths deeper, and to get the carriage out of the way here, I can move this up. I don't want that to wobble. Try to go in another 50 on this. There. Now it's seated up against the hub. That's good. And I think it looks pretty good. So now we'll put the features in it. Now we've got to set it up in the milling machine to put those little indentations on each side. They said, I think, a 1/4 inch end mill or an 1/8 inch end mill. I'll check that. And I've got to use a rotary table to do that. So we've got to move this vise out of here. Just going to slide it to the side. I bought this little rotary table because the other one is so heavy, the 6-inch one, and most of the jobs I do, I can use this little guy, and it's 4 inches, so it really works good. It's not as accurate or as heavy, but still gets the job done. So as luck would have it, this little rotary table isn't quite tall enough to grab this fixture, so I'm going to have to go to the heavy one, the 6-inch, because that's got a 6-inch chuck and it's got a higher jaw on it. Okay, that's in there tight. Now we got to set this at that 5-degree angle, and the only way I can do it is shim this whole rotary table up. But how much to shim it is the question. Getting there within 10. It's a lot more shim than I thought it would take. Let's zero that again. Within 30. Whoop. Might help if I turned it the right direction. A little bit ago. It's within 10 still, but I gotta get a thicker shim. My gosh. It's within 5. That's pretty good. We're getting closer. I think that's about as good as we're going to get it. It's within 5 or 10 thousandths. Okay, it's saying 32 thousandths deep. Set that stop.
Yeah, that's only 27. I'm going to go to 32.
Seven, 8 right there. Lock it up. 252. Oh. Is that 252? Yeah. 288. Right here. I believe right there. 324. The last one. I hope. Okay, so now we've got it this far with the, what is it, 10 features in it. And now what I have to do is I have to drill 5 holes and counterbore them for Allen screws to attach this to the hub. So we'll do that first. So I'm going to put this in here, and I'm setting this on 0, wherever 0 is, way around here. Because these are going to be 72 inches apart instead of 32. And what I have to do is get this centered for the first one. And the distance out from the center I've already set, which is 700 thousandths. So this center is a little easier to see than with a centered drill. And I have to measure that from side to side. What I've done is put a little tiny mark there. And I'm just going to make sure it's somewhere centered. It's got to go a little more this way, maybe 10 thousandths. Okay, I think that'll do it. Yep, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take that out, put in the center drill, and mark it all the way around. And then I'm going to take it over to the drill press and actually drill the holes in the drill press and do the counterbores in the drill press. Go 72 degrees. $144. $216. $288. So there's the center drill holes, and the reason I did that is because this is on a slight taper. If I used a drill bit there, it would walk off. So by doing this, using the center drill and putting it way up in the chuck, it gives me a nice spot and it stays right in place. Counterbore them, and I already know the depth. Got to go 90 thousandths deep. So I got to set that up. Bring this down to the starting point and lock it in, and then I'm going to set up the dial indicator over here to 0. Just going to double check that. I'm going to making that 10 thousandths deeper. Wasn't quite all the way in. That's it, all counterbored and drilled. Now this has to be pretty accurate because I've already drilled the holes in the hub. And you can see they're quite close to the edge. So these have to be exactly the same dimension. And that's what this is, 700 thousandths out. Because I had to turn these upside down to drill them from the backside because it was so close to that curve to keep it accurate. And they're pretty accurate. The next thing I'm going to do is put a little feature on the side here and just recess it maybe a 1/16 of an inch and a 1/16 wide all the way around so it looks like this one. This is the sample one we did, and this came out pretty good, but you'll notice that the features here are wider at one end than the other, and that's because I used a 1/4 inch end mill like it called for. Well, if this is just a few thousandths off and as you go in deeper, it makes it wider. And this one is 3/16, and that worked out a lot better because you can't see any difference in the width of them. Let's see how that looks. So that looks pretty good. The only other thing I'm going to do this, I'm not going to show that in the video, is I'm going to relieve the back a little bit to make them lighter. But that's not very interesting. I'm just going to turn some off of it. I'll show you what it's going to look like. Using that same 5-degree taper, I'll start here and I'll move into that recess. And that'll just get some more weight off of it so they'll be lighter. It's not very interesting. So that's it. There's the finished product. We'll put it on the wheel and let you see what it looks like. So if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. That's what keeps us going. And thank you very much for watching.